All right, Bitcoin has now broken out of this local range that we formed after the last major move to the upside. And right now we are continuing to put in new highs. This is right now at least new yearly highs. We haven't been this high in quite a long time. So I want to talk about some significant levels that I want to pay attention to. And I want to take a look at Market Cipher and just kind of go over how things are looking right now. But real quick, before we get into that, I want to kind of talk about why I have not been active on my YouTube channel. The last video I posted was about a week ago, and beside from that, the videos have been pretty spread out recently. So I have not been posting very actively, and it's not because I'm losing motivation to make videos or I'm losing motivation to trade. It's actually the opposite of that. I've been spending a lot of time recently really trying to improve my trading, practicing new strategies, learning to incorporate new strategies and concepts into my trading. And specifically, I have been attempting to learn the White Phoenix approach to trading. So that has been taking up a fair amount of my time recently. And I just kind of want to explain the conundrum that I am in right now. Let me see if I actually use that word correctly. A confusing and difficult problem or question. Yeah, I think I used that correctly. So basically the situation I'm in is that I am right now focusing most of my time and energy when it comes to trading on learning and practicing a set of strategies and concepts that I cannot talk about in my videos. I think that's pretty obvious. Since I am learning White Phoenix's approach to trading, and since those strategies and concepts are behind a paywall, obviously I cannot share those. And one of my major goals for this YouTube channel is to kind of share my experience, share my process of learning how to trade, because I started this channel before I knew how to trade, literally at all. I don't recommend watching any of my earlier videos, but if you do, then you can pretty clearly tell that I don't know what I'm doing. So, my goal of this channel was to share my learning process and share some of the things that I learned along the way. And obviously, one of the things that I'm spending, most of my time trading on right now is not something that I can share. And just because I'm learning a new strategy doesn't mean I'm going to abandon my old strategies. I still use those type of strategies. I still range trade, in a very similar way, although I am learning new ways to range trade. I'm still going to continue, learning and practicing my current strategies and a lot of the stuff that I share on my YouTube channel. I'm going to continue to incorporate new things into that. What I'm looking to do is essentially have multiple trading strategies, some strategies that I am able to share on YouTube, some strategies that I am absolutely able to be profitable with, but also things that I can share publicly. And then I'll have the strategies that I cannot share publicly. So I just wanted to say that a lot of my energy and time right now when it comes to trading is focused on learning these new concepts and practicing them. But once I get them down, I will be able to start spending more time refining my old strategies, refining what I could call my YouTube strategies, as well as share the other things that are important to trading, the kind of non-technical stuff like mindset, risk management, routines. So I just wanted to clarify, I'm not losing motivation to make videos. I will continue making videos on this channel for a very long time. I just think that right now it is most important for me to put my time and energy into what I'm doing right now in learning these new concepts, because ultimately my trading, what I do personally, should come before what I post on YouTube, the stuff that I post on YouTube, because that's more important for me. At this point, I've been trading for a decent amount of time. I'm going on about 2 years of trading, seriously, and maybe like 2.5 years of, just general trading experience. The first, 6 months to maybe 8 months of my trading was me basically gambling, so I don't really count that. But I'm going on 2 years of trading seriously and actually taking the right approach to trading. And I've made tons of progress. I am an exponentially better trader now, today, than I was even a year ago, or maybe even 6 months ago. But I also still have a long way to go. So right now, my energy is spent on becoming a better trader And, hopefully sometime in the short future, I will begin focusing more energy on becoming a better content creator. But anyways, with that out of the way, let's talk about what Bitcoin is doing. So recently we broke out of this larger range and we closed weekly candles up above this range, essentially continuing weekly structure. And we have also gotten back into the value area of the bull market. So there have been a lot of bullish developments. And if we zoom in after that last aggressive pump, the pump that brought price above the larger range, we began forming a smaller range. And recently we broke that range to the upside, got a very aggressive move up out of this range. And I'm actually glad that this is happening. In the last video I posted, I talked about some of the swing long ideas that I would consider, and one of them would be a swing long after a backtest because we have continued weekly structure here. So if we get a weekly retracement and then there are signs that that weekly retracement is over, then I could look for swing longs. And one of the areas that I was considering was just a backtest of this larger range. I think this is a pretty clear support resistance flip that we would want to hold, especially since it is the value area low of the bull market value area. So this would be a nice back test, coming back to test the value area low along with this support resistance flip. And it was a very aggressive move to get up there. We left some inefficient price action right down here that I think it would make sense to fill. Maybe even we come a little bit lower than this back test just to fill this inefficiency. And I'm glad that we're getting another move to the upside here because it would not look as good if we, just got this move up and then immediately came back down to back test. I think it would look better if we got, kind of an extended move to the upside before coming back to retest this. So I am glad that we are continuing to the upside. I think it may make for a better trade once we eventually do pull back. And right now we are running into resistance. There is resistance in this zone, some price action resistance, and there is also the point of control of this larger range that is right above us. So, if we continue pumping to the upside, this 38.8 area is, a significant zone, I would say. So there is a possibility that price starts slowing down in this area. And if we go to some of the lower time frames, we are definitely forming some bearish divergences right here with money flow and momentum on the 4-hour. The money flow is more pronounced. It looks like momentum may be able to, kind of void that divergence by getting a continued move to the upside. But right now, it does look like money flow is bleeding out on the 4-hour. And we can investigate that a little further, go down to the 2-hour. And we are seeing a similar thing here. I mean, clearly money flow has bled out, but right now it is kind of getting a move to the upside. But I would be kind of surprised if this money flow was able to kind of void this divergence and, really get another aggressive move to the upside in terms of money flow. It looks like we may be kind of forming some topish signals here. So potentially what that could mean is that as we're running into resistance, maybe price starts to slow down. Maybe we, continue putting in higher highs, or we start ranging here a little bit and look for a pullback later. That's just kind of what I'm getting from looking at, market cipher on some of these midterm time frames. But I have to say the daily is still looking very bullish. This was something I mentioned in my last video, how bullish the daily was looking. We have since gotten, the VWAP crossing the zero line, which caused this green dot to print, and the money flow is continuing to put in higher highs. So the daily time frame right now is definitely looking pretty dang bullish. And we can also look at the weekly, and the weekly is a little, iffy, honestly. It looks like this wave wants to top out at some point. You can, see the VWAP curving back to the downside. Once the VWAP crosses over the zero line, that's when the red dots print. So, it looks like this wave may want to start to top out here. And even though money flow is continuing to put in higher highs, it is not yet clear if it wants to continue growing here or, if we'll just kind of get one of these little waves in the green before turning back into the red. So, it's kind of hard to tell just looking at the weekly, but with the context of the daily, I think things are looking, decently bullish for more upside. So potentially we don't stop at this upcoming resistance and maybe we head a bit higher, which I think if we don't stop here, then the next logical place would be somewhere up around these highs and possibly even the value area high of this range. So we'll have to see what happens at this local resistance. If we start rejecting from there with some clear bearish divs, then maybe it is time for that pullback that I've been waiting for. But maybe we just end up blasting through it. Right now the 1 hour is kind of looking bullish. It looks like the 1 hour could give some more hope to the 2 hour and maybe even the 4 hour, just because the money flow right now is continuing to put in higher highs. We had a very thick money flow wave back here. We haven't put in higher highs compared to this wave yet, but right now the money flow is continuing to grow at a pretty steady pace, and at least right now we don't have any bearish divs with momentum. We could be forming one right now locally though. If this momentum wave does not get up above the last one to print, this one, then we could be forming a bearish div here if this wave starts to top out. But it would only be a divergence with momentum, not money flow. So that is the most important thing. You know what I say all the time, a div with momentum but not money flow typically means retracement rather than reversal of trend. So potentially if we start to top out here a little bit, it's just to put in a higher low. And maybe we can eventually see this 2 hour start to become more bullish, which could eventually lead into this 4 hour. I would not be totally surprised if we see this money flow start to grow again, kind of try and challenge this wave up here. Maybe we do end up still forming a divergence. Maybe money flow only gets up to like here or something, and we still see that div. But even though we are seeing some potential topish signals on like the 4 hour to the 2 hour, it looks like, at least some of the lower time frames like the 1 hour, even the 30-minute are starting to challenge that. The money flow is continuing to grow. That could potentially bleed into the higher time frames. And it looks like Bitcoin just put in a new high, so that is interesting. Did we tap off of that point of control yet? So this POC, at least on Bybit, is coming in at 38.7, right around there. So we're pretty close to that area, but we did not hit it quite yet. So yeah, that's pretty much market cipher. I mean, we are seeing some bullish signs on the lower to midterm time frames, the 2 hour to the 4 hour potentially showing divergences, maybe some topish signals, but I wouldn't expect that to play out immediately anyway. I think if we are going to top out here, we'll probably end up ranging for a little bit, and there will be like a clear as day sign that we are topping out. And it seems like some of the higher time frames do still have a lot of bullish potential. So that's pretty much it for my market cipher analysis. And in terms of local trading ideas, there's not much that I have at this moment. I'd really want to see price action develop here, maybe inside of a little range before I start trading that. We have technically continued structure here, so if you're looking for, more of a day trade, maybe you can look for something off a higher low if we get a pullback and backtest this resistance. But, really other than that, I'm not seeing anything super clear for trade ideas. I would really want to see price start to range a bit before I start trading anything locally. And honestly, if I do any trading right now, I'd probably look at trade setups on some altcoins because, if you go to the lower time frames on Bitcoin right now, I mean, where are you going to find a trade setup here? There's not really much to go off of. It's pretty much just been straight up. So if anything, I may look at some altcoins that maybe haven't pumped yet, maybe look for some local entries. But yeah, I mean, I'm not too interested in much locally at this moment. I'm more so interested on what Bitcoin is going to do in terms of, these higher time frame developments. And, since we have continued structure here, we have broken this, local range, and we have not closed a daily candle above it yet, but we have closed many 4-hour candles. So, I'd say it probably isn't a bad idea to start looking at some, altcoin trade setups, maybe looking for some coins that have not pumped yet, and, yeah, trying to get into some scalp longs that could end up running. That's kind of what I'm looking for in terms of, trades today. because a lot of times, once Bitcoin breaks out, if it starts ranging afterwards, you will see altcoins kind of catch up with it later. And I think the next thing I would be looking for would be us reclaiming this point of control, maybe even holding it as support before going higher. That would be very interesting, wouldn't it? Alright, well, that pretty much does it for this video. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, maybe even leaving a comment. All that stuff helps to support my channel, and I really appreciate everyone that does that. And I will see you all in the next video.